Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tiger Nexus podcast. I'm your host, Ty Tiger, and welcome to my Nexus. We interview content creators and geeks of all kinds. And today I'm joined by Jared. Hello, Jared. How are you?
Doing great, man. How are you doing tonight?
I'm very good. It is like almost 1 o'clock in the morning for me since I'm in the UK, but it's good.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Rather late for you. Sorry about that.
It's all right. I understand. You Americans have to be all dramatic. It's all good. So, for the people who are new and don't know who you are, give us a rundown of what you do and what you're about.
Yeah, so I have a podcast out of the Northwest Arkansas area of the United States, and I bring on different guests, talk about the way I like to describe my show is it's a podcast about nothing with conversations with interesting people.
That is such a good way to explain. I love the way you said that. That's a really good way of explaining it. How long have you been doing your podcast for?
Well, March will actually be 2 years that I've been doing this podcast. I started doing podcasting in October of 21. But I started this one in March of 22. And, that was the whole thing. I did another show with another guy, but this one has kind of stuck around, and I've really enjoyed doing this and meeting all these different types of people.
Yeah, so with your podcast, you have all sorts of, guests. So you've had wrestlers, you've had voice actors, and all sorts of stuff. What's it like being the guy that gets to sit down with all these strange and fantastic people?
It can actually be kind of nerve-wracking sometimes. I get extremely nervous doing this still. In fact, it's funny. I've noticed this a lot when it comes to. I get more nervous when it's somebody I actually know, and I feel like I stumble over my words a little more. But I mean, it's so much fun. When I first started out, I had no idea what the show was going to be. Whether it was going to, I talked about maybe doing like board game reviews and stuff, because it's just going to be a podcast. I wanted to do something that was more geared towards like a nerdy, geeky dad type of thing. And then I did my first interview, and I was like, I like this, and just started doing all of them. And the guests, they've, there's been plenty. I haven't had it keeps me busy, I guess you could say. But I really do love talking to these people, and it takes up a lot of time, but it's been so worth it. I've enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, your podcast is awesome. I've been a host, I've been a guest myself. We've had quite a lot of, our little group on Zodi Hero now. Quite a few of us actually. So I find it intriguing. You said that you get more nervous with people you know than people you don't. So have you ever had like a guest where you've actually sat there for a moment and gone, "Holy crap, I'm actually interviewing this person"? Like, have you had a guest that's just completely blown your mind?
I think it was my first big guest that I had. Well, I had two. It was kind of like that for me. So I grew up in a Christian home. My dad's pastor of a church. And there was a radio program that I listened to a lot as a kid called Adventures in Odyssey. And it was an audio drama. I listened to it every week. Well, I think it was like episode 14 or something like that. I was able to get on Phil Lawler, which was the creator of that show. And for me, it was like, it blew me away that, for one, he said yes to coming on the show. And two, somebody that I've listened to since I was a little kid. I'm having a normal conversation with them, and I'm now friends with them on Facebook. That one was really like a kind of a holy crap moment. And then the other one I would have to say was when I had J. Michael Tatum on the show, because that is a guy who's pretty well known around the world because of all the different voices that he's portrayed. He was the lead for a couple different animes, and it really did just kind of blow me away that he was like, yeah, let's do this. And I had to sit there before, and I had to take a few minutes and just close my eyes and take some deep breaths to get myself, to where where I'm like, okay, you can do this. This is going to be fine. And once we got started talking, he was such an awesome guy to talk with, and it was an easy conversation.
Wow, that's mental. That's actually really wholesome to hear that you managed to like work with someone that you listened to for years, and you knew their work and things. That's really cool. I'm really hoping I can get to a point where I can interview someone that I'm a big fan of, and like there's a couple of voice actors I think I'd like on, and or actors in general and stuff. And the fact that you're able to do this, and for people who are listening, Jared's actually the reason why I'm doing this podcast in general. The second me and Jared did his episode where I was the guest, I kind of sat there and contemplated. I was like, I'd like to do this myself. And then me and Jared spoke about it for a while, and it was Jared's the main reason why the Tiger Nexus podcast exists in general. So when it comes to If You Give a Dad a Podcast, where did your name come from? Obviously you're a dad, we got that, but where did the name If You Give a Dad a Podcast actually come from?
So actually, it was my wife who helped me kind of come up with the name and stuff. I had a different idea for a name, and looking back at it now, I'm glad that I named it what I did, but I was going to call it How Intriguing as the name of my podcast. But I told her what I wanted. I gave her that name, and she was like, okay, I kind of see where you're going with that, but I think it's not going to catch people enough. So she was like, what do you want the show to be about? And so I kind of told her, I was like, I don't want to be nailed down to just one genre. I don't want to just be a wrestling podcast. I don't want to just be a comic book podcast. I want it to be kind of a thing, where I can do anything. And so she said, well, the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, how about If You Give a Dad a Podcast? Because, in the book, he's like, okay, well, I want this. Give me a piece of the cookie. Well, now I need some milk. Well, now he keeps needing more and more things. And, in that way I could say, well, I've had wrestlers on the show. Well, now I need voice actors on the show. Now I need writers on my show. I can bring in all these other people, and it goes along right with the story of the book that the name was created after. But my wife is the mastermind behind the name.
Yeah, that's really sweet. I quite like the name to give that a podcast. Your intro is really cool. And can I just say, whenever like some of us are talking about it, you've shortened it a lot. Your name on Discord is actually in brackets. IYGADAP. It's so fun to type that, because now my phone actually autocorrects any word that has a Y in it to YGADAP. Legit, my phone autocorrects it now. I'm like, no, screw you, I don't need that word right now.
I try to incorporate it into the, at the end of my show, I'll use that instead of saying If You Give a Dad a Podcast, I'll even say IYGADAP, at the end of it, that way, trying to get it to where, I don't know, maybe it's trendy and people start saying, oh yeah, I listen to IYGADAP, or something. I don't know.
But yeah, it's a good name. Your intro actually has do you actually have your children actually saying it in your intro?
Yes.
Your intro is that actually your children?
It is.
That's amazing. I think that's really awesome, the fact that's actually your kids. But do you it's in your intro? Because your intro is really awesome. It's a really, really clever intro, having your segment, got very snippets, don't you, all collected together with a trendy beat in the background. I think that's a really clever way to do an intro, because then it also kind of gives people kind of like a little gateway, kind of like a tease, of what's to come. So with wrestlers and voice actors, and you've kind of got several boxes, got several ponds you can dip your toes in. What sort of category of people, I guess that's the best way I could word it, do you find easiest to get hold of if you want to interview people? Is it like the wrestlers, are they easiest? Is it like the voice actors, are they the easiest? What sort of people would you find easiest to talk to get onto the podcast, if that makes any form of sense?
Well, I mean, the obvious answer would be the people on the Zero Hero Podcast Network.
Yeah, that's
I just
true.
reach out. But I guess I would have to say, for me, the wrestling community. I'm not trying to maybe put any feathers in my hat here or anything like that, but I've gotten enough wrestlers on my show, especially for Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas and Missouri, that my name has kind of gotten around, and people know oh, if you give a dad a podcast, I've had, different people, what's your favorite wrestling podcast? And they would tag my show. So, I know that if I say, hey, I'm with If You Give a Dad a Podcast, and I'd like to have you on my show, most of the time, they'll be like, oh, cool. I've had some people that be like, I listened to your show, and so this will be awesome, But I would probably say the local wrestling scene, and it's led to some of the other bigger names in wrestling that I've been able to get on as well, like people who have actually been in places like AEW and WWE. I haven't, none that are actually on the programming right now. I do have one guy that I'm talking to who is currently working with one of the big names, and they're trying to get it okayed to actually come and do an interview on my show.
See, you just said that, oh, I'm not trying to put feathers in my hat, but mate, you should be proud of that, man. The fact that there are somewhat a version of a celebrity out there who can literally sit there and go, oh yeah, I'll listen to If You Give a Dad a Podcast. That's mind blowing, man. The fact that your podcast name is like being put on these celebrities' Instagrams and Twitters, and you're being tagged in things, and that's awesome. Right. That's mind blowing, man. Like you must. Do you ever just sit there and think to yourself like, holy crap, like this was just meant to be a podcast, but now I'm talking to celebrities? Does that ever like just take you back a minute?
It does. I mean, I've been very with lucky or blessed, with what I've been able to do on this show. I've had, lots of moments where I have to sit back and just be grateful for, all the stuff that has happened. Because, I think they said that 80% of podcasts don't make it through their first, 20 episodes is what I had read. So The fact that, I'm about to have episode 93 come out on Monday is, pretty cool. And the fact that there are people who actually know what my podcast is, it's still weird to me, especially when I'm, at like Comic-Con and somebody sees me wearing my shirt and you're like, oh, you're the podcast guy. I've had that happen. I had that happen at Comic-Con here, and I've had it happen at wrestling shows as well. And it's still really weird to have people walk up and know me, and I have no idea who they are.
That's insane. So I upload every 2 Mondays, so that's 53 weeks in a year. So I should have around 24 episodes by the end of the year, kind of. So hopefully I can get there. So would you ever?
I know you can do it, man. This is going to be awesome. I love what you're doing here. I love that first episode that I heard.
So do you ever like consider having a permanent co-host, or do you think that you would rather it just be you interviewing other people?
So I've had certain people who have. So this goes kind of back to my first podcast that I was a part of. And it was me and another guy that I work with. I've known him for years. I knew him before we actually worked at one job together. He left, then I left, and then we started working at the same place together somewhere else. Well, then right after COVID happened, we were like, we should start a podcast because we're funny, And the thing is with a co-host, a lot of times trying to get on the same schedule, especially when your house dynamic is different. Like I have children. My co-host did not. So, there was a lot of times where he would be free where I wasn't, or vice versa. So, it's easier to be able to just schedule myself and then, schedule my guest around that as well. Because, I was taking a lot more time out of spending time with my family whenever I was having to schedule with a co-host. But on the flip side of that, having a co-host makes things so much easier because say there is a lull in the conversation, a lot of times they can kind of jump in and help the conversation along. Makes things like that super easy. And I feel like that's part of the reason why also I have notes a lot of times whenever I'm doing an interview is because I don't want to have that happen. Now, I've been lucky enough to where I haven't had a lot of conversations where I'm sitting there just skimming over my notes trying to find something to talk about. But there have been times where that has happened, and probably a co-host would have helped.
Yeah, see, so you say that. Obviously, we know Jim and Billy. They're co-hosting a podcast, and
yes,
I think they're very lucky in the sense of because they're brothers. They kind of can rely on each other very well. I think they come in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that comes in handy. So when it comes to this podcast, there's actually been 2 times in the past that I've been very close to making a podcast. One was with my best mate James. He's actually going to be on this podcast in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
He's my 4th guest. He's a massive nerd. He's a massive geek. I'm really excited to have him on. I've actually just bought a second microphone, so I can record both microphones differently. So that's gonna be a lot of fun because it'll be in person as well. So the issue with that is he lives 20 minutes away. He's not far, but he works 9 to 5. He works Monday to Friday, and every 3 Saturdays. I have a son. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so our kind of like schedules collide a lot. And a lot of the time when we hang out, it's playing on the PlayStation, or we go to the cinema when it's been planned for like several months and stuff like this. It's very hard to schedule that. And the second time was with Willie, aka Cosplay 267. Now, we really wanted to do a podcast a little while ago. We write our stories. I upload on Tiger Tales. He's got all of his ones as well. And we thought it'd be a really good idea. But he's a family man. He's got a wife. He's got 4 kids. 2 of them live with him permanently. I've got my son. He's also works in like the hospital, the setting. And with our time difference as well, because like we said at the beginning, it's 1 o'clock in the morning now for me, and it's like what 7 o'clock ish for you now.
It's 7 o'clock right now for me. Yeah, we got like 6 hour time difference.
Yeah, so like the time difference, it just never worked. So when me and you had the conversation of me starting one, I was like, well, I enjoy talking to people. I love making content. I've got so many YouTube channels. It's unreal, and I upload on all of them. It's insane. And I'm a stay-at-home dad. I have the time. My son goes to school, my fiance goes to work, and I stay at home. That's my job. I'm technically, by law, I am my partner's carer. She's autistic, so I make sure her needs are met. And then I look after my son. So I have time to kill for 6 hours a day. I've got stuff to do. And so so far I've scheduled, after you, I've got 3 episodes set in stone. So up to episode 5, I'll be set in stone. And I think one of them have been kind of tricky to work around because they've given me their dates. And I'm like, that might be a problem, So, but I've managed to work around it. I've managed to like make sure it works. And thankfully, you saying that like, your wife helped you name your podcast. My fiance is very good in that as well. And she is very hands-on with my son. She's a very good stepmama. So like when the day after, it is. Yeah, she's really good with him. So the day after, I'm going to be knackered because there's a 6 hours time difference again. So she's going to be dealing with my son for breakfast the next day. So when it comes to guests and celebrity status, who is the one guest that if you had on your podcast, you'd be happy? Like you could happily put the podcast down and never touch it again because you've had that one guest. Who's the one guest that would just be like the crown on top?
So I do this quite often. I have a list and I tag these people on Twitter, see if I can get any response at all. I put out a list of these people would be cool to have on the show, kind of thing. And there's a couple names that always are put on that list. And one of them is Chris Saban, who is the voice actor of Vegeta and All Might. And he does a bunch of other big ones. But if I could get him on the show, that would be so cool to me. In the wrestling world, there's a couple names there. One for me is Jerry Lawler, because I grew up in a town where one of my friends, they bought his home. And so I got to hang out in Jerry Lawler's old house, and then watching him on WWF and Raw, and being on commentary, it was always super cool to me. And so I would love to have him on the show to kind of talk about, not only wrestling, but talk about being from Memphis and stuff, which is, you know, the area where we're both from. So Jerry Lawler probably for wrestling, and in anime, Chris Saban would be, dude, I would probably wet myself if he responded to my Instagram messages.
I think mine would be Yuri Lowenthal.
Okay.
He's the voice actor for Sasuke Uchiha from Naruto. He plays he's the voice actor for Spider-Man in the Insomniac games, and he's also Ben 10 from Ben 10 Alien Force all the way through Ben 10 Omniverse, which I grew up on. So like, I'm a huge Naruto fan. I stand on the Naruto, the anthill. I'm huge on Naruto. Sasuke is my favorite character. Spider-Man, the Insomniac games are just some of my favorite games. And I grew up on Ben 10. So those three all have Yuri Lowenthal in them. And he's also in other things. He's in the new Mortal Kombat game. He's in a Avengers anime-like cartoon. He's dotted every. He's such a good voice actor as well. And Insomniac's Spider-Man 2, which came out last year, really shows his range, because Spider-Man gets the symbiote suit and he goes from being happy-go-lucky, you know, throwing quips around, to screaming to the point where you can hear his vocal cords taking a beating from it. And I've loved him from, like, when I found out that Ben 10 is Sasuke Uchiha, I lost my effing mind. I lost my mind that my favorite ninja is also one of my favorite heroes. Like, yeah, how the hell does that make sense? And it's just like, yeah, I think if he ever said, yeah, I'll be on your podcast, I may pass out. I think my fiance may have to call the ambulance. You know, I'd lose my mind. Other than take away the voice actor side of things, I don't know. There's a music artist on YouTube called Dan Bull. He's a nerdcore artist. He makes songs and raps based off video games. Yeah. And I grew up on him. He kind of listening to his music, learning his raps, kind of like got me through high school, because I got bullied a lot, and like it was just a nice kind of like way to escape. And I think if he ever said yes to coming on this podcast, I actually bought his merch. He's the only person I've ever bought merch from. That's how much that I like respect him. And like, if he ever said yes, I think I'd have to like smack myself to make sure I was awake. You know, like, it's mental. So when it comes to guests, I have a rather dark question. The people that have passed away, you know, the celebrities that are no longer with us. Is there any like celebrities that have passed away that you would just love to have on your podcast if they were still alive now?
JDF.
Yeah, I knew you was going to say that. Me too.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a given. So, you know, and another one for me would be Chester Bennington.
I'm so glad you said that, because he's one of mine as well.
I love Linkin Park. I grew up on it. Meteora was that's my favorite album by them. And man, Linkin Park was, you know, that was whenever I was a young teenager coming into, you know, figuring myself out and everything. So I love them so much.
Right. For anyone listening, Jared is now my new best friend. Okay, because Linkin Park is my jam. Yes. I grew up on them. Meteora is one of my favorite albums of all time. I still listen to their songs now, bro. You just like, we are now officially best friends for life. You have no other choice. I hope you know that.
Like, I accept my fate.
Like when Chester Bennington died, it broke me, man. Like, it actually broke, and the story behind it as well is very tragic. When it comes to passed away, I agree with your first two statements 110%. But I think I'd also have to throw in Matthew Perry.
Yes.
Who lost not that long ago, actually.
Man, I'm still kind of stunned by that one.
Yes, like the sad thing is, my sister is turning 19 this year, and she only watched Friends for the first time a couple of years ago, but she's obsessed. I mean, absolutely obsessed. I think she's watched it almost 100 times. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh wow!
And I had to be the one that broke it to my mum. Yeah. And yeah, I think my mum, my stepmom, my sister spent the entire day crying. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I had to do that. I didn't want my mum just to stumble upon it. So I was like, Mom, Yeah, bad news. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, that broke me. That really hurt. I grew up on Friends as well. You know, it
Right.
kind of holds a piece of my heart. But I also think it's a bit of a long stretch, but Stanley.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think like, you know, he literally made my childhood. He literally made what I'm a massive fan of. I mean, I
Right.
have Spider-Man littered everywhere. He's my phone case. You know, so like, to get into his mind and just learn what made Fantastic Four and, you know, Captain America and Spider-Man, just get into that box would just be absolutely fantastic. You know, that if that was a holiday destination, I'd live there. You know, so like, that's just bananas. When it comes to things like, you know, reaching out to guests and trying to get people on and stuff like that, have you ever had any negative responses? Have you ever had anyone say to you, you know, swear words and, you know, blasphemy against you? Or has everyone kind of given you a nice, like, nah, sorry, mate, I'm not really interested?
So majority of them have all been very, very kind. There is one that I'll never forget, and
if it's Billy, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it was. He made me cry, you know.
Yeah.
So,
screw you, Billy.
So there's a wrestler that was in WWE, and it was weird. I actually became friends with him on Facebook, and it was his actual personal account. It was because we had multiple mutual friends, you know, could learn meeting people throughout doing what I'm doing and stuff. I've made multiple friends in the business. So I sent him a message, and I won't say his name because, you know, whatever.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you don't have to say his name. That's fine.
Right. So I sent him a message saying, hey, you know, I'm a fan of what you did and everything in WWE, and I would love to have you on my podcast to kind of talk about your career. And he sent me a message back, and he said, I don't usually do podcasts unless the money is right.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's not the end of it, though.
Oh, God.
So after that, I said, okay, you know, I said, I'm a small podcast. I don't really make anything off of this. So maybe in the future, I'll be able to get you on when I make it bigger. And so he gave me a thumbs up. So a little while later, you know, it's just hit my brain. I was like, I wonder how much he would charge, you know? And so I sent him a message back and said, hey man, sorry to keep bothering you, but how much would you charge for an hour interview on my podcast? And his response was, if you have to ask, then you can't afford it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a punch in the nuts. Jesus.
Yeah. So I sent him a thumbs up, and
I love that.
And I deleted him off of my Facebook. So
that's fantastic. He sent you a thumbs up, so you just went the cocky route and went, yeah, I'll send you a thumbs up back, mate.
Yep.
Wow, that's low, man. I'm sorry, but that's not a way you handle that.
And it's not, but you know, and the funny thing is he's one who has come out about people bullying and stuff in wrestling, and he says stuff like that. So, you know, I was like, okay, bud, I see you, but whatever. You know, I've had plenty of amazing people on the show. You know, I just recently met Steve Cardina, the Rocky, and yeah, I met him at Comic-Con recently, and I asked, you know, I was standing there talking to him, had a really good conversation with him, and you know, he even held my phone, by the way. So, you know, my phone's worth a lot of money now. Yeah.
I was going to say, do not clean that phone.
But so I walked away, and then I was like, you know what? Because I didn't have the guts to ask him at the time. So then I walked back up because, you know, whatever. The worst he can do is tell me no. So I walk up and I said, you're probably going to say no, but I'm going to ask anyways. And he kind of laughed when I said that. And I asked him to be on the show. And he's like, man, I'm only home 2 days a week. He said, when I am home, I'm spending it with family or, you know, doing, you know, errands and things like that. And so I'm going to have to say no for now. And I was like, okay, I get that. He was completely nice about it, you know. And I was really appreciative of how he handled that whenever it came to talking, you know, because he could have been like, no, I'm not doing that, you know, but he actually was like, kind enough to give me like a, here's why. It's not just because I don't want to. It's because I don't have a lot of time to myself. And I totally get that.
Yeah, at least his response was, he gave you a reason, but at least his reason's also valid. He said,
exactly.
I don't get to spend time with my family. I'm only home 2 days a week. I've got errands to do. And, as we are both fathers, we can respect that. We have families. We both, do all this sort of stuff. So, we can respect that as a response. We can respect that. That's fair enough. For
definitely.
sure. If it came to Power Rangers, then, because obviously you're a fan of Power Rangers, we've mentioned Jason David Frank and stuff. Is there like, if you could have your podcast mentioned on a Power Ranger season, would you accept that?
Heck yeah, I would.
Okay, so out of all the seasons that we've listened, all the seasons we've had from MMPR all the way till Cosmic Fury. Which character would be listening to your podcast?
That's a good question.
I have two that I think would, but I'll let you answer the question first.
Okay. Man, I want to say that there's one season that they brought in a lot of the technology that we have now, and podcasts were actually a thing that they talked about on that, and that's Dino Fury. I think that might be one because podcasts were around during that time.
Yeah,
and so I would definitely think that Dino Fury would be one of the places that it might be talked about. I don't know who exactly I would say it would be, but if I had to go with like one of my favorites, I'd definitely be Zeo. I would love for somebody in the Zeo to be talking about the podcast, maybe Billy or something.
So the two characters I thought of, a good choice by the way. The two characters I thought of was Chip, the yellow Mystic Force Ranger. He definitely seems like the type of person. And then RJ, the purple Jungle Fury Ranger.
I like that.
RJ listening to If You Give a Dad a Podcast just definitely seems like something he'd do just to calm his mind, just something he does, because he's a very chillax guy, let's be honest. He sits down, he has his own chair, no one can sit in, he has a TV. Come on, he's listening to If You Give a Dad a Podcast. He's doing it, man. Let's be honest. Like, come on. Like, if you could interview a fictional character from movies, TV shows, whatever it is, if you could interview the fictional character itself, who'd you pick?
Deadpool.
That's the dude. You like that's so flipping fast. You answered that so quick,
dude. He's so hilarious and so witty. I think that the conversation would just be epic.
Question: movie Deadpool or comic Deadpool?
Because
they're two different characters,
right? I think I'm gonna have to go with movie because
I was gonna say movie.
Yeah, just because stepping outside of that, I know I love Ryan Reynolds and I love everything that he does, and so he brings that character to life very well. And so I think that one would just be perfect.
I think mine, a fictional character I could interview. Just for shits and giggles, it would have to be Heath Ledger's version of the Joker.
Oh, that would be
just because I really I just want to like have conversations about like burning money for no reason and all that sort of stuff. Like it'd just be like an entertaining time, and he'd also threaten me a couple times. Like it'd just be funny.
Of course,
he and obviously, yeah, of course. And then did you ever watch, or have your kids ever watched Johnny Test?
Yes.
The two sisters in Johnny Test. I really want to know why on earth are they just scientifically experimenting on their brother? Why not just like leave the brother out of it and experiment on the dog? Why is the dog involved? I just want to get to I want to understand them a bit more.
They would definitely be in trouble when it comes to like Geneva Convention and things like that. I think. So.
No, definitely that's exactly
right. Man, that's a good show though. I really enjoyed. Like my son would put it on, and then I would find myself just enjoying watching it as well.
Johnny Test was one of those cartoons that literally could get away with doing one episode really random. One episode that always sticks with me is they had I can't remember if it was a video game or not, but it definitely was something similar to Beyblade and Yu-Gi-Oh! And they had their own version of like a monster, summoning genre sort of, board game sort of thing. And it had monsters that came to life. And that episode always stuck with me because they just did it for one episode and then it happened and it's gone again. And it's just like, how the hell did you do that and make it so good? I don't know.
There's a lot of cartoons from that like time period and stuff that were great. I mean, they had the bolder lines when it came to the way that they were drawn and everything like that. But they were so much fun to watch. I mean, that was in right around the same time as a lot of the heyday when it comes to Cartoon Network and stuff.
Yeah, see, my son's just started watching SpongeBob.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, SpongeBob SquarePants is a fantastic cartoon. But watching it as an adult, from an adult's perspective, holy crap, it's creepy in some spots. God damn. Like the way that they there's a scene that my son watched the other day, SpongeBob burnt his eyes, and it zoomed in and changed its art style to a more like horrifying image, and holy crap, you could scare the kids with that. Don't eat your vegetables, stare at this. Don't do your homework, stare at this. Like, holy crap. Like, that's a good way to torture people.
Hey listeners, I'm glad you're enjoying what you're listening. I'm Billy, and I'm joined with Jim, the host of Zero to Hero podcast, the one safe space for all the nerddom. We talk about anything that ranges from the Power Rangers to maybe a man on the moon. Come check us out and see what kind of rabbit holes we could dive into with our weekly guest. Or, if you're lucky, just an episode of me and Jim squabbling together.
Do you have a favorite episode of SpongeBob? I have two.
Oh, favorite episode of SpongeBob. Okay, the one of them, and only because when my younger brother was a kid, when my dad and his mum used to argue a lot, I used to play this specific episode because he would just laugh his head off at the entire time, and it just sticks with me. The episode where Squidward is trying to be is it a conductor, and SpongeBob and Patrick mess up his entire set, and they end up having like the sound of chainsaws going through the music, and glass breaking and all sorts of stuff, and Squidward just loses his mind over it. That one sticks to me for some random reason. And then I kind of like any episode with is it Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy? Is that what they're called? Yeah, like those two are just funny. I find them so stupid. It literally, it's Aquaman if no one cared about him,
Right?
Like that's just great. But what's your two?
So, Sailor Mouth is one of them.
Oh right, yeah.
That's the one where they learn dirty words.
Yep.
I actually heard an interview with them, and they said that in that there is somewhere in Nickelodeon there is a recording, and they actually said the swear words in those spots, and because otherwise it just didn't work right. It didn't sound right whenever they were saying it when they would just stop. So they were actually saying the swear words and everything, and then throwing in the dolphin noises and all that. But it's just a great episode. I think that's in season 1, even maybe season 1 or season 2. And I love it. It's just hilarious. And my other one is Band Geeks. And that's the one, it might be the same one that you're talking about a minute ago, but it's like the whole town is trying to help him to be, a conductor for this big football game that's going to happen. And I quote this line all the time, and it's Patrick. And he goes, "Is mayonnaise an instrument?"
Yeah. So with SpongeBob, like I said, my son's watching it. I was paying attention to the screen. They had some very, I don't want to use the word adult content thrown in there because it's not really adult, but but like, so Logan was watching an episode where Plankton steals Sandy's fur coat and tries to use it to get SpongeBob to give him the Krabby Patty formula, and Sandy's literally in a bikini, and she gets arrested for, and they say, public nudity.
Oh my gosh.
And that's in a kids show, mind, and I'm sat there thinking, kids aren't going to know what public nudity is.
Right?
It's like, holy crap, man.
Well, that show is pretty insane, so, I mean, but how long was it on the air? It was over 20 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a long time, yeah, for sure. And it keeps getting like movies and stuff. There was a SpongeBob film not that long ago, like you know, with all about Gary and everything. My brother likes it, and when he was a kid, I remembered this whole section from an ending of an episode where the episode's about SpongeBob and Sandy doing karate. Because they do that several times. But the very last scene of the episode is you've got Sandy and SpongeBob using the karate to make Krabby Patties. And so one of them goes, I like karate. The other one says, I like karate. Mr. Krabs goes, I like money. And this one, my brother loved it because I literally did Squidward. And Squidward just goes, and I hate all of you. And just literally sounds so depressed because I just hate all of you. I used to do that with my brother, and he would just laugh his face off because I just learned it. But like, yeah, that scene was always stuck with me for some weird reason. I feel like there's always that Squidward character in every group of friends. There's always that one like Squidward. Who do you think is the Squidward in the Zero to Hero community?
Oh,
who's the person sat there going, yeah, fuck you lot, I don't care.
Jim.
Yeah, I was about to say Jim. I was going to say it's definitely Jim.
It's like, Jim.
Definitely. Or it's whoever asks a normal, needing, like meaningful question. Whoever asks that question and gets berated is now sat there going, yeah, fuck you. Because like, I see it quite often. Someone will ask a normal question. There's a whole conversation, and that question still hasn't been answered.
It just gets blown out of proportion, you know. Ends up in a GIF war at the end every time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You've actually joined the Zero to Hero community, and you've kind of blended in very well, haven't you? You've kind of like you were just taken in with open arms. How does that make you feel that there was a community that just welcomed you?
Well, first off, before we get to that, Billy, Jim, if you're listening to this, I'm about to talk really nice about you guys, and I know how much you love that. So
he's warning you so you can get the bleach to clean out your ears.
Exactly. Man, it has been amazing. I actually told my wife this. I said, when I found you guys, I feel like I found my tribe. I feel like I found a group of people that understand me and understand my humor. And I don't think I've ever found a group of people that's understood my kind of humor the way that you guys have. And I've felt nothing but welcome since I've shown up there. I've got somebody in the group to talk about just about everything that I'm interested in. So, you know, it's been a lot of fun, and it's really, it's a great place to be. If you want to be a nerdy person, geek out about something, it's a really awesome place to go and just kind of talk to other people that are like-minded.
Yeah, that's true. You know, that Power Rangers is the biggest theme of the podcast for sure. But you know, there's people that are talking about Star Trek. There are people that are talking about Star Wars. There are people talking about Doctor Who. You know, it literally, if you're a fan of something that falls under the category of geek/nerd, there is someone in that Discord group that is either going to be a fan of or willing to have a conversation about it. You know. Yep. There's always, and you know, there's gifts sharing around. People show off their nerdy collections and stuff, and you know, it's a good time. It's fun, you know, and it's not. I feel like it's not pressuring. You know, I'm not really active in the Discord. I do say hi. I comment every now and then. More so because, no offense, you guys are all 6 hours behind me when all you lot are chatting. It's like getting closer to bedtime, you know, that sort of stuff. But like, you know, someone could be gone for a month and pop up and go, "Oh, hey guys, what's up?" And everyone just treats it like you've been there the entire time, like you haven't been missing. And like,
Right.
one person may go, oh, where you been? But that's it. You're just welcome there. There you go.
Yeah.
You're there. And it's really cool. How did you actually come to be a part of the Zero to Hero community?
Well, that is actually episode 1. Mark, it's his fault.
Yeah, Mark, it's all your fault. God damn it.
Yeah, geez, Mark, dang it. Anyways, he actually, I was part of a group called the Avenue Podcast, and they had a Facebook group. I don't think that it was based on the Avenue Podcast Network, which I'm a part of, but it was a place where the lady who created the Avenue Podcast Network had created a Facebook page where you could share different, share your podcast and kind of share like-minded ideas. There's a place where you could review each other's podcasts and stuff like that as well. And as you know, on Facebook, when it comes to podcast groups, they're terrible because they're full of bots.
Yeah. I haven't even gone near them.
Yeah, I still go near them. I'm a glutton for punishment. I use them every week whenever I have a new episode come out. Yeah, I get, probably 20 messages a week from somebody saying, oh, I'll help you get downloads on your Spotify and your Apple Podcasts and all these different things, and they're all fake. But you do have people that still go on there that are real. And somebody posts something about, wanting real people and stuff like that. And Mark and me both were commenting on it. Well, me and him ended up conversing back and forth, and we were just going to trade like promos for our shows, the commercials and stuff. And we were talking over Facebook, and he's like, I really think that you would enjoy this group that I'm a part of. And he sent me the link for it. And after I figured out how to accept, the rules, 2 hours later, I joined the group, and I've been a part ever since. When I first got on there, I was kind of quiet because I wasn't sure what to expect. And I was like, okay, these are goofy dudes. So I'm good, and I'm going to start just being myself. So, it's just been crazy ever since.
Yeah, you've definitely blended in really well. I think when it comes to newbies joining, that I've seen anyway, I think you're definitely one of the, I don't want to use the word one of the better people, that's the wrong word I'm looking for, one of the easiest people, just to like, you blended in really well, you banter, GIF war still carries on with you around, you dive in conversation, and you just blend in, you're a podcaster, you love the things that everyone's involved in and all this sort of stuff, you just kind of blended in really well. And yeah, it is Mark's fault. Mark's actually the reason why I'm attached to the Zero to Hero community as well.
Okay.
I downloaded TikTok for the first time. I wanted to kind of like push my YouTube stuff out a bit. My partner was using it and stuff, so I thought, yeah, why not? And then I found out that people are doing Power Rangers stuff on there. I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize Power Rangers was a as big as a thing to go on TikTok. So I literally like followed just a bunch of Power Ranger people, Mark being one of them because he's from Cornwall. I'm from Plymouth, which is in Devon. Me and Mark literally would, if I still lived there, we would be about an hour away from each other, if that. Okay. We would not, like, where I come from, where Mark lives, literally is not far from each other. And so I was like, oh my god, like literally, you're literally my next door neighbor. I'm literally going to add you and follow you. That's awesome. And I like the idea, Red Cornish Ranger, it has a ring to it. And I started watching his stuff, and he actually did a promo for Zero Hero. And I was like, there's a podcast about Power Rangers? Dude, that's cool. And so I then followed Billy, and Billy did a TikTok where he's like, hey, if you like Power Rangers, if you feel like you can hold a conversation, we're looking for guests. I was the first one to comment. I was like, Billy, dude, you don't know me from Adam, but I can talk. I like Power Rangers. And so I was, I joined the Discord. I was one of their, I definitely was, I wouldn't say I was one of the originals, but I was definitely in the first handful of people that kind of like, did an episode, joined the Discord, and I'm one of the people that stayed.
Right.
And so like, that's how I met Mark, that's how I met Willie. And then because of that incline of following Mark, then finding Billy, then joining the Zero Hero Discord, of now like, I'm friends with you, A-Crown, there's the Three Ranger Bros, me, William, Mark with the Three Ranger Bros. That's all thanks to the Zero Hero community. And it's like, you know, I'm grateful to everyone there, and you know, I've got voice actors from there and all sorts. You know, they're okay. Yeah, Billy and Jim maybe banter us and stuff, but deep down, you know, they're actually really solid dudes. You know, you can't fault them. I mean, you could if you really wanted to. It'd be funny, but you can't fault them. You know?
Sometimes I do it for fun.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, instead of being an alcoholic or, you know, like doing drugs, just rip the shit into Billy and Jim for an hour. It takes the edge off.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually having Billy on an episode that's planning. Cool. He's going to be a guest. That I thought we could talk about collections and things, because his collection pisses me off. Like he has like all the Lightning collections, and he put a picture up the other day. He said, "Oh, I've got all the Eevee Evolutions Funko Pops. I wanted to fly to Texas and kill him." I'm obsessed with Funko Pops. I've got loads, and I'm struggling to find all the Eevee Evolutions, and the fact that he managed to get all of them just annoys me.
I think it was either today or yesterday he posted. He's like, "Oh, I'm done now," because he got like, I think it was it the Jolteon that he got
Jolteon,
yeah. And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." That dude, I promise, I would go bankrupt if I spent or you know tried to keep up with him, because dude collects, man. He has so much cool stuff, and I'm kind of jealous myself, you know. But yeah, I mean, he has all kinds of little ones that I'd never even thought of, you know. And he was the one who got he got all the 30th anniversary ones, and then he got all miniature 30th anniversary ones, and I'm like, dude.
Well, it's actually because of him, to tell the absolute truth, that I've actually started the Lightning collection.
Oh, okay.
There was a giveaway, and I put my name forward, and I won the red Dino Fury Lightning Collection Power Ranger figure. And
cool.
Because of that, and it's really cool. I'm going to be doing a video about it on my collection channel. I was like, I have to get more of these. These are really cool. So my fiance got me the In Space Pink Ranger, and then the other day, I don't know if the deal's still on, but I found a website selling the Mighty Morphin Sabertooth Power Daggers for half the price of their original. They're usually 140. I found them for 60 quid. I was like, wow. So I literally showed my fiance, and she was like, if you don't buy that and you complain, I will kick you out my car. I was like, okay. So I bought it's literally half the price. I was like, I have to get them. Right now they're sat in my kitchen because I have not sorted out my collection shelf. So they are currently sat on my kitchen side, just making my kitchen look pretty. But yeah, because of Billy, I've now started collecting the Lightning collection. So yeah, it's all thanks to him, to be fair.
Because of Billy, I've had to buy a new shelf. And,
I love that. This is what
I'm actually buying another shelf Wednesday. So thanks, Billy.
Yeah, no, the thing is, right, you should just put that on Facebook, tag Billy. Because of this person, I've had to buy 2 shelves, but just don't explain anything. Just leave it there, let people guess. I really want to see what people come up with. But yeah, he's a big collector, so I'm looking forward to diving in and talking about that. Who is there anyone in the Zero to Hero Discord that you would interview but haven't yet?
Well, as this has come out, I have just interviewed Mark on here, and then next month I have scheduled to interview A Crown on the podcast.
So, I'm going to talk to A Crown about having him on, because that man is he's something else, man. A Crown is just a gem in the sand for sure. He's one of the reasons why Tiger Tales Game Over, the YouTube channel, exists in general. And why there'll be another Tiger Tales by the end of the year. Okay. He is the reason that Tiger Tales Game Over exists. He's really helpful. I've been helping him out as well. We talk almost every day. Like, he's definitely become like one of my story, you know. Yeah. He's kind of like a counsel that I have for my stories, and like he's really good. He's got a really good mind for like filling in plot points, and to him it's almost like a game of chess or something, you know. He's got a mind for it. He's really smart. He just needs I've said this to him. He just needs better tech. He needs better equipment. You know, if he has a YouTube channel, The Author's Crown. Big shout out to that. Everything's done on his phone.
Right.
And it's just like,
I listened to the latest one, and it was really good. I loved what it was about, you know. But you could hear like there were parts, you know, and tech would help with that and everything. But you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because he said to me he's getting a laptop and a microphone. I was like, mate, do it. I started off on a little laptop and a microphone. I've actually just bought a microphone, which annoyingly enough, I was hoping would come through today of recording this episode, so I can actually record with you with the new microphone. But it's not coming until Monday, so I was like, screw you, postal service. So, you know, I was hoping that would come through, but it's coming through Monday. You know, and now I've got 2 monitors, I've got my PC out, I've got, you know, microphone and everything, and it does help. And, you know, I've learned how to edit better. I'm using Audacity and all sorts of things to make me sound just a little bit more crisp and things. I said to A-Crown, mate, you need to just like, you'll find a lot easier and stuff to edit and things like this. And I think that he should, because he's got a mind for it. I think he'd do more as well. I find if you are willing to put time, effort, money into your craft, no matter what the craft is, podcasting, storytelling, art, whatever it is, you'll find yourself not only more comfortable but more willing to do it, if that makes sense. Like, you've got a decent setup, don't you?
It's gotten better over time. I do this in my garage. I don't know if you can hear an echo or not. I kind of got what I did is I started out with a $50 microphone from Walmart, and I bought a rug to put underneath my desk out here, and then I have old pillows lining the wall to kind of help absorb some of the sound, and I've got, like, you know, the shield around the back and everything like that. That way you don't hear like a big echo whenever I'm recording. So I mean, the setup, if you look below my desk, god awful looking, because it's just
an
outdoor rug. Yeah. It's an outdoor rug, and it's got pillows surrounding the desk. But I have a Blue Yeti microphone that I bought that my wife made me buy about it was about a year ago, I guess. And let's see. Before that, like I said, I was using, and it was a great microphone. It was a JLab, and it was only $50, and it got me through like the first 50 some episodes of the show. And it was funny, right afterwards, I accidentally dropped it, and it doesn't work right anymore.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, I have 2 good microphones, but now I'm going to have to break down. I think I'm going to go with like a Blue Yeti Nano for my secondary microphone, for like whenever I have somebody in studio to record with me, because I have done that before. I've done a few episodes where people have come here to my house and recorded with me.
Blue Yeti's actually the microphone I'm waiting for. I used to have one. I used to have one for my gaming channel. But then when me and Logan's mum split up, I wasn't able to bring it back with me, so I lost it. And now I live in a 3-bedroom house, 2 bedrooms. So the smallest room, which is really small to be fair, is my recording studio. I have 3 strips of carpet which you can't put anywhere. They're not going to fit in any room. I've literally layered them ever so slightly on top of each other. They fit just about. I've now got like shelves and stuff in here. I've got I went to the carpet store, and they for free, you can take them for free. They have carpet samples. They're literally they're no bigger than, I'd say, about 50. Okay, I'm going to use the word centimeters, but they're no bigger than a couple of inches. But I kind of said to the woman, I lied to her, and I said, my nan's really fussy, and I'm going to need to take about like 20 of these. And she's like, yeah, just pick your colors. I took 40 with. I have about 30 something underneath my desk, waiting for me to fill up the rest of the room. And then I have. They are expensive, and if people can buy these, I highly recommend them. They're called Chaotic Eyeballs. They are black domes that sit on your microphone perfectly, and that also helps. And then I've learned how to edit out echoes and noises in the background if I ever need to. But yeah, the Blue Yetis are really good. I had one before. They work really well for gaming and all that sort of stuff. So I would definitely get them. It's literally coming Monday. So I'm very much looking forward to the upgrade, because I'm currently using, I don't know how well I sound to the people or you, but I'm currently using a microphone that is built to help singers. My mum actually gave it to me. It was sat in her attic for ages. So it's a very old microphone, but it's working for now. It's okay, but I
is
definitely
it like an XLR microphone?
Yeah, something on those lines. Yeah. But my mum's a singer, and she always wanted to do more with it. So her ex-partner bought her the microphone, but she never used it. And so when I said to my mum, "Look, I can't do YouTube anymore. I don't have a microphone," Mum was like, "Well, why don't you just take this?" I was like, "Okay, cheers, but I need the upgrade." So, but that also means when I have people in the room with me, like I said, my friend James is coming in. I now have two microphones. So now, because it still works fine, it still works. I want the upgrade. So, like, I'm doing that. So yeah, I highly recommend to anyone who's doing this sort of stuff, put the time and money into it if you're passionate about it. Get the tech, get the gear upgrade. It's really handy.
Definitely.
Is there anything that obviously you've mentioned guests can kind of like cancel on you and stuff like that, but personal, have you had any like tech related issues that have ever stopped you from recording or ever hindered your recording majorly?
Well, okay, so you know that I've worked with a local wrestling company around here.
Yep.
Diamond State Wrestling. Well, the first time that I recorded the episode with the owner, I did it in person. We actually did it in the middle of the wrestling ring. We set up my mic and everything and did it there. Well, it was the first time I'd used OBS to try to record a episode. And something happened to the audio, and I could never recover the audio for it. And so I ended up having to have him come in on Zoom like I do with all my other ones and do that there. And so I was able to get it done in time. There's been a few times where it's not audio related stuff, but family sickness or things like that, to where I've had to put off episodes and stuff. But I've been pretty lucky when it comes to my equipment holding out for me.
What is your upload schedule? It's every Monday, right?
Yes. So what I do is I record on Monday. Right now it's a little weird because I've got extra episodes that I've recorded, so I'm kind of shuffling them out as I'm doing them. But I upload on Monday, so I advertise for the episode on Friday. Thursday I send them I have them send me like a picture that they want me to use. And then I come up with a bunch of different designs and I send it to them on Thursday. They pick which design they like. I tell them, okay, I'll start advertising tomorrow. Start advertising on Friday. Monday at midnight is when the episode drops. So I have to have it ready by like 11:50 on Sunday night. That way it can be ready to drop at midnight. And then, I just promote that episode up until about Thursday, and then I start advertising for the next one.
Yeah, see, you got a decent little routine there, don't you? It's good to have that sort of thing. With this episode, okay, so because there's a time difference between the people that I know will listen and stuff, I drop it in the UK at 6 a.m, which would be midnight for you guys. So it kind of falls into that nice bracket there. And then when it comes to editing and stuff, the only thing that really hinders me is every full weekend I have my son for the weekend because he goes to his mum's on the weekends. So he'll come to me. I have him for the weekend. So this weekend it falls under. So I'm just like, I don't know if I'll better get it out by 6 a.m. It'll be out on Monday, but I don't know if it'll be by 6 a.m. So it may come out a little later, but it'll be out on Monday. Like, it's no problem. But it's good to have a routine, and as long as you've been in the Discord, as long as we've been friends and stuff, I don't think you've ever missed a Monday, have you? Other than like your Christmas break, which is fair, but other than that, you actually have not missed a Monday, have you?
I haven't missed a Monday this year. The last time that I missed a Monday was October of 2022 when I had COVID.
Damn, fair play. That's a fair excuse, though. That's a fair excuse.
Yeah. So, and I think the only other time was when my dad was in the hospital, and that was like in July of 2022.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a fair reason. Would you ever have your kids on the podcast? Maybe when they're like a little older and stuff. Would you ever consider like having them join you?
This last year they did a whole episode with me. If you want to look it up, it's called "Getting Current with the Kiddos." and I had them on, and they kind of just talk. They actually picked the topics that we talked about, and what I did is, since I only have the one microphone, we went to the kitchen table, and with Blue Yeti, you can do like a room mic to where everybody can be recorded in the room, and so I just turned it to that setting to where everybody could be heard on the mic, and we just sat there and talked for an hour.
See, I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but there's actually a podcast out there, and it's literally a dad with his daughter, and the girl's like 5, maybe 6. She might be 7 about now, actually. It's been going on for a while, but it's literally just him talking to his daughter, and I find it really sweet and stuff. And like, I think one day I'll definitely have Logan on, maybe after he turns 5 in March. I might do it after his 5th birthday, because I think we should talk about Pokemon the entire time. We literally talk about Pokemon the entire time, but I think that would be awesome. But I'll definitely listen to that episode, because I think it's really sweet that you have your kids as your intro and stuff. So I think I've got to listen to that episode at some point.
So there is a funny part, actually, when it comes to my intro. My kids despise that intro now. They're like, "Dad, we've gotten a lot older since we did that," because they did it in, beginning of 22. We're now in 2024, and I have a 13 and a 12-year-old. And my son's voice is now down here. He's 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 not the little bitty boy that he was back then. And my daughter, she's turning into a young lady, and so her voice is maturing as well. And they don't sound anything like that. And they're like, can we please update that? I'm like, you know what? Nah, we're good. I like it the way it sounds, and it's a little piece that I can remember. What they sounded like then. Maybe one day we can do some kind of update. But, I was thinking, bringing them on the show to where people can hear their voice and they can just talk with me. That's good enough.
Maybe what you could do is do a halfway compromise where your promo has them now, but your actual intro has them as kids still, if that makes sense. You could just meet them 50-50, just so that they're happy.
Or I thought about this. So, in between, I have where he's like, "Hey, Dad," and she's like, "Seriously?" Kind of reacting to the things that I'm playing in between. Whenever the intro's going, it's like they're reacting to what the people are saying. I was thinking maybe I could take those parts out and have their voices as they are now do those parts with bro, with them being older.
Yeah, that would work too. Yeah, no, that's fair. But I think it's sweet you want to keep the 2 years ago intro, because it just shows you're a proud dad, and there's men get hated a lot, dads get hated a lot. It's nice to know that there's good dads out there, and your intro kind of symbolizes that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that.
No, man, I've been a big fan of yours for as soon as you kind of revealed yourself to the Discord, and I haven't listened to every single episode.
There's a lot of them.
There's 92 of them. But tell the truth, I'm not really into wrestling. I kind of pick it when you have had the Zero to Hero lot. I always listen to them. I listen to your I think your episode of Willie, I think you were in the background whilst I was drawing, I think, and I listened to all of it, but I'm literally laughing along, and the next thing I know it's done. I'm like, hang on a minute, that has not been an hour and such minutes. That's insane. I'm like, huh? I was enjoying that. Why did you end it? But Willie...
Willie's such a good guest, man. He... whenever I've talked to him, it seems the conversation is very effortless when having him on, and I've gotten a lot of compliments, especially when it comes to having him on the show. When I first had him on, I don't know who put this out there, but on Spotify they can leave comments about your episode on there. It gives the question, "What did you think?" and you can leave a comment. And somebody said that it just seemed like a conversation between two old friends geeking out, and that was probably one of the best compliments I could get when it came to an episode, because that's exactly what I want it to be like. It's just sound like a conversation between two dudes.
Dude, Willie's actually my next guest. Willie's next. He's literally scheduled. I would have put him sooner, but he's a busy man. He works and everything. He's all over the place, and yeah, he's my brother from another mother. So I was like, dude, you give me a date and I'll put you in. And he's like, well, when do you need it by? I was like, well, I record every 2 weeks. And he's like, all right, we'll just do this. I was like, okay, cool. And so like we've scheduled it. It's ready. Again, it falls on a weekend, which I find recording on a weekend kind of easier for me at this minute in time. But like, it's only because my son's only 4. When he gets a bit older, I'll better work around him a bit more and things like this. But yeah, like I'm looking forward to having him on because that's just gonna be a blast because it's literally just gonna be a conversation we'd normally have over the phone. Just everyone's gonna listen to it.
Gonna have to hold back some, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. One other thing I wanted to mention is not only are you a part of the Zero to Hero community now, you're actually helping out a lot. You're actually a voice actor for a few of us, aren't you?
Yeah.
How does it feel knowing that you're actually wanted by content creators and stuff to you can lend your voice in different ways? How does that kind of feel?
It's still new to me, and I'm still very what's the word I want to use here? It's kind of I'm not as sure of myself yet on it. This is a new venture for me, and I'm still trying to make sure that what I'm doing is good. I'm very careful about how I do these different voices, but I'm really enjoying it. I have a lot of different voices that I'm doing right now, and I've had a few other people, or I've had somebody else recently reach out to me and ask if I would be willing to do some like reading their story, so doing some narration for them as well. So it's actually really cool. That I'm getting these different people that are saying, hey, I would love to have you do this. And, but at the same time, I'm like, I still don't know what I'm doing. So, it's funny and kind of strange still, but I'm still enjoying it so much.
So, what roles are you actually a part of now? So what roles have you taken?
Okay. So let's see. I am Loader for, Voltron for Willie. I am also Frankie for the One Piece that he's doing.
Yep.
Let's see. He has some other things I think that he's going to want me to do. I don't know if they've come out, or I don't know if he's announced any of that stuff yet. So kind of not say anything on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I am also doing Dark Side for you.
Yes, I absolutely love editing my Son of Darkseid storyline. I only all I do to your voice is just edit the pitch ever so slightly to the left because it gets your voice and just makes you sound a bit more. I don't want to use the word evil, but that's the only word that comes to mind. You literally sound a bit more dark, and it just works. And it's just like in the story now. Darkseid's almost ready to become a big bad again. I cannot wait for that. I cannot wait to start giving you bigger lines and more like demeaning words, and I just can't wait for that sort of stuff. I'm looking forward to that.
It's a lot of fun to do, and whenever you presented that with me, what I did is I actually went out and Googled all the different people who have voiced Darkseid, and kind of sat there and I listened to the way that they sounded. And, I know I can't do, what some of these other guys have done when it comes to that voice, but I wanted to give something that was not going to do it wrong, that it was going to, it was, excuse me, it was going to be something that, it was okay. And people weren't going to be mad at hearing me saying that sounds nothing like him. I wanted to play, honor the role, and so it was nice to be able to do that and kind of try to find the voice. I played with my voice for a little bit, trying to figure out exactly what would sound right, because you sound different when you're on a microphone. I'm in my car and I'm like, oh, this sounds good, and then I get on the microphone and be like, that sounds kind of pitchy to me. It sounds a little off, so I'd have to do even more, when it comes to that. But yeah, I really enjoy that role. I've also, I'm doing some of the narration stuff when it comes to some of your stories, and I've also done, a monologue. I've done a couple of different voices for Mark. He's got a few that I don't think they've aired yet, that he's going to be having me do as well. And but yeah, I've probably got 6 or 7 different ones that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, that's really cool. With your narration for me, I kind of wanted to bring this up because I feel like people kind of need to know about this. So, when we did our episode for your podcast, you kind of told me that you wanted to, like, you know, your dream would be to branch off the If You Give a Dad a Podcast name to other things. You know, you want to do, like, If You Give a Dad a Kitchen, for an example. You know, let's just use that as an example. So I came to you after and I was like, what if we took this in a fictional sense? What if we did this where we gave a dad a dragon dagger, for example, which is the first episode? And, you know, you said and the reason why I want to bring this up is because you're actually a part of, you're not only narrating it, you're not only reading it for me, but it's actually what you, as Jared, as the person, would do with these things. You know, I'm coming to you, I'm asking you, dude, what would you do if this fell into your lap? And you give me a decent response, and then all I do is add some dramatic storytelling magic to it. You know, you gave me what you would do with a dragon dagger. I just put at the end that you actually use it to summon the dragon's orb. That's literally what I did. Yeah. But the story itself is what you would do, and you're actually working with me. And like it's one of my favorite things to think about. I've got so many notes down on my phone, and as soon as January's done and dusted with, because I'm currently got a plan going forth, in February there'll definitely be a second one, and we've spoken about the second one, and you know, we've got a plan for it. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I think I know what the third item is as well. So like I've actually got like the next 2 planned, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
So like, you know, I just love the fact that you're so willing to sit there and go, yeah, what would I do with this? You know, and the second one that's coming out in February, you actually, you know, you took days. I think you took about a week to get back to me, you know, before we actually had a solid answer. And I'm cool with that because you're actually taking the idea and going, well, hang on a minute, what would I do? And I just needed to explain that to the people listening, because I just love the fact that, you know, me and you are working together. You're actually technically co-writing it in a sense and things, and I cannot wait to see what sort of madness we come up with. You know, and like, you know, we've mentioned your wife, we've mentioned your kids in it as well. They've kind of got, I don't mention them by name, but you know, they're there, if that makes sense. You know, it's literally basically we're painting the multiverse of Jared.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's I'm really enjoying it. I've been very excited about it. You know, I even, before the first one came out, I told my parents about it. I was like, we got this really cool thing that we're going to be doing. And so, you know, they've actually listened to it, and they love it too. You know, it's really cool because they've been very supportive of everything that I've been doing, and probably some of my biggest fans. So yeah, I love the whole idea with this, and you know how it comes from an idea of something that I would love to do when it comes to my podcast, making it a whole brand, you know, and not just my podcast. So yeah, and this just brings another facet to it, and I think it's amazing, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here.
So before I dive into my next question, I just can't believe that I've got your parents listening to my stuff. I still find that insane that like there are people that listen to my stories. I actually got told once by Billy that I think he was in the mechanics or something like that, but there was an autistic kid like literally sat across from him, and he could hear my voice coming out of the phone. Like an autistic kid was sat in Texas listening to Tiger Tales, and Billy heard it, and I'm sat there thinking, that still blows my mind, man. That is absolutely awesome. What the actual F? Like, that is bananas. So when it comes to branching off, and, you know, if you give a dad a ... have you started anything like that? Have you got plans for that? You know, can we see anything in the future with that? Or is this just an idea for now?
For right now, it's still just an idea, and the reason why I say that is because right now I'm first thing I got to do is I've got to get this up and to where there's more people listening, because my next goal is to start having enough people that listen to where I can actually maybe make something off of this to where I can start putting back into my podcast, you know, because I mean, this stuff isn't cheap, you know. especially whenever you want to branch out and do new things when it comes to a podcast, or if you even want to update your what you do have to make it sound better or be able to do better things, it costs money, and so I'm looking to maybe gain more people that listen to the show. That way, maybe I can get a few sponsors when it comes to the show to help out to make my product better. And then once that happens, I'll be able to start looking at other facets to this, other sides to this, and but it is something that's going to happen. It's just a matter of when is it going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good mindset to have. That for sure is how, me and Mark and Willie work and stuff. I'm because I'm a stay-at-home dad. I do have a lot of YouTube channels, and the only reason why I've got so many is because the YouTube algorithm doesn't like the fact that if you're a gaming channel, you suddenly put up a vlog. It doesn't work like that. So that's the reason why I've got so many things, because I have the talent, the equipment, and the ability to do all these things. And there are definitely things I want to do, but due to confidence, equipment, timing, etc., it's more of a case of when I get there, I get there.
Right.
So I completely understand that. What is do you mind sharing some of the ideas that you kind of have when it comes to if you give a dad a ...
Sure.
Just what, even if they never come to fruition, some of the ideas you've had.
So I wanted to do if you give a dad a shop, and what you would do is, it would be kind of like teaching. Whenever I was a kid, my dad taught me how to change the oil in a car, or he taught me how to work on an alternator, different things like that, and maybe have help videos for some people there, but also when it comes to cooking and stuff like that. Well, here's some different ideas, so if you give a dad a kitchen, and so what you would do is you would have you got a busy night coming up. Well, here's a quick recipe that you can do, and maybe have interesting conversation with the person, kind of like I do right now. But while we're doing that, while we're talking, we're making a meal and, showing people, okay, well, this is how you're going to make this and things like that. Different little things to where I can bring in people who have other passions as well, and I've even talked about it. I don't have to be the one that hosts those either. I could have other people who could help do that want to be a part of this brand. I don't want to be just the only person that's part of this brand. I would love to bring in other people to help me to grow this brand.
See, I find that really fascinating because, okay, I'm just going to use the kitchen one for an example here because I'm a cook myself. I absolutely love food. My stepdad was a trained chef. He taught me how to cook when I was 12. And now that he's no longer in our lives for sure, but I'm definitely grateful towards that. And I like, my fiance adores my food. My son is grateful that I'm a good cook and things. And I've had people who have grown up with very mundane meals, and they're very fussy, and they try my food and they're like, whoa, this is incredible. And I'm like, well, you learn how to cook, you can do some stuff. So you definitely could. The fact that you're branding yourself as if you give a dad this, there's definitely going to be parents out there, kids out there that watch. Let's say you make them into videos, for an example. Let's say that's the route you go down. There are definitely going to be dads, mums, kids that watch these videos and go, oh, hang on a minute, we can do that. We've got these ingredients. There's a store down the road, we can get these ingredients, and you're going of this angle of, hey, dads, guess what? If you've got the kids by yourself or you're struggling or whatnot, hey, kids, if your dad's, crap at cooking, here's some videos. You can go down multiple avenues that all kind of reach the same sort of impact for different people. And I think, if you give a dad a, fill in the gap then, you mentioned, doing car work and things like this. So, and the fact that you said, it's not just you're willing to branch off. There's so many different things you can do there.
Definitely.
And I have an idea which, once we're no longer recording, I need to run past you because Willie and Mark will say my mind runs a mile a minute. And Willie and Mark actually curse me quite a lot, and I cannot wait to discuss this with Willie on the episode I have him on, because they present me with, or us, with an idea, and I'll get that idea. I've increased it tenfold. I've connected it with 10 other things. I've given them 10 other ideas with it, and like, yeah, there's something there. Like, I have an idea, and I think me and you could work pretty well on something here.
Yeah.
So just let you know, because of this podcast episode, I think me and you could do something.
All right.
Like, you know, but like, yeah, I honestly, I mean this in such a wholehearted way, but you're an inspiration, dude, like through and through. You know, I wouldn't be doing this podcast without you, man. Like, that's literally the truth. And if it gets to a point where, you know, we're all 80-something, 90-something, we're all grey, and, you know, we're all dying one by one, and you haven't done this, I'm haunting your children. Do you understand me? I'm haunting your children. I'm being serious, bro. Like, you have to do this shit. Like, this is awesome. I'm so down for it. You know, if you ever need any help of any kind, bro, I'm there. You know, this is so. I'm looking forward to this stuff, man. Like, what you do is awesome. Just all around as well. Your podcast's phenomenal. You know, I think that when it comes to podcasting, out of all of us, and Billy and Jim, you can kick my ass if you want. I don't actually care. But out of all of us, I think you're the most. I don't want to use the word well put together, but like, you are so on point with your podcast, and the fact that you've got plans and you want to brand yourself. You know, I loved your jumper. You've got, you know, your brand on a jumper, don't you? Is it a jumper?
Yeah.
Am I right there? Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I saw that the other day. I thought that was really awesome. And like, you know,
my wife made that too.
Really? Wow, she's talented. Tell her that I said that was absolutely really awesome.
Yeah, I will.
That's really cool. I like the jumper. And but yeah, man, honestly, you've got something going here, and I mean it. If you don't do this stuff, I'm haunting your kids, and I'll even stick around to haunt your grandkids, because, you know, I'm a cunt. Like, I will do it, and, you know, it's just like, I will do it. Like, tell your kids this too, so that they can kick your ass into gear if you ever, like, you know, fall out of it. But man, dude, like, seriously, you've got something going here. You do, and like, you gotta keep going, man. Like, it sounds like a really good thing. And like, I didn't really have my dad around. My dad and my mum split when I was 4, and my dad was in and out of my life. It's only been the last 5 years maybe where me and my dad are actually, like, you know, solid. You know, we talk quite often, and even to this day, I don't really talk to him that much. I think I actually talk to him 5 times a year, if that. And I didn't really have that father figure in my life, air quote. And I know how that feels, and it's not nice. And like, this is why I fought for my son, because I'm not having another kid, especially related to me, feeling the way that I felt. And I know for a fact there are dads trying to be something better. And I feel like what you plan on doing would make an impact on those type of people. And like, even though there aren't, even if men aren't dads, but they just want to do something better, you know, I feel like your videos, whatever you do, I feel like that could push, you know, it could be that thing that makes them want to be better or do better or learn, you know. And yeah, honestly, I think you could do something with this for sure.
Yeah, well, man, I appreciate you saying that. You know, so I kind of grabbed some inspiration from a YouTuber. So like you said, you know, this will be something that would definitely, it doesn't work if it's not video. So that's, you know, it would definitely be something that's video. But there's another person that me and my son both have thoroughly enjoyed, and he recently just said that I think he's doing 9 episodes, and then he's done with all the channels that he's a part of, and that's Matt Pat. He does, you know,
I love Matt Pat. I know exactly who you're on about. Yep.
Yeah, and he, you know, he has game theory and food theory, and you know, he has, I think there's 4 different channels that he does, you know, and kind of looking at his stuff, it kind of made me be like, well, how can I do something? You know, obviously I'm not going to be doing theories or things like that, you know, because he does theories based on video games and TV shows and things like that. With me, it would be more real life applications that you could use. And so, you know, it's something, it will happen. Like I told you before, You won't have to haunt my children, but I really, it's something that I would love to get going, and hopefully I can get it going sooner rather than later. But I will say it is going to happen.
Yeah, that's good. And yeah, I've been a fan of Matt Pat for what I watch game theory more than anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, his last video comes out mid-March, I think it is.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, yeah, he's got only a couple of videos left. And yeah, I mean, it's sad to think, but at least the videos do carry on. He is giving them to people he trusts and stuff. But see, that's something else. You said that like he's inspired you. Literally, I think all my YouTube channels were inspired by somebody. Tiger Tales literally only exists because of Willie. This podcast exists because of you. My gaming channels exist because of the Rad Brad and Jacksepticeye. My art channel exists because of the Ink Tank YouTube channel. And things like this, I literally get inspired and I'm like, I can do this. Okay, I don't want to be exactly like them, but I can do something similar.
Right.
And you could definitely be what you just said. You could be someone's inspiration. You could do if you did give a dad a kitchen, and there could be a kid that going, well, I know how to cook. Maybe I can do something, And you definitely could be the point of someone's. Well, I could do this. If I'm looking forward to it, man. I really am. I've just noticed we've been talking for a very long time. I apologize for keeping you hostage for this long. I do plan on
you're fine.
I do plan on releasing you soon. I promise.
This is actually not the longest recording that I've done. One of my episodes we actually recorded for almost 3 hours.
Damn, dog, fair. Well, see, this is the thing. I've never sat there and went, "Oh, I'll only call for an hour." I did it with Mark because I know Mark's routine. His daughter's also 5 and stuff. Right. Willie will mostly be a long chapter as well. But I'm happy just to sit and ramble on for hours on end. I don't think the conversation's wavered. If it has, then you're very good at lying to me.
No, I think it's been great. I've enjoyed this a lot.
So before we go, I just wanted to there's one question I wanted to ask you. I asked Mark the exact same question, and for those who are part of the Zero Hero community or like Power Rangers in general, I'm asking everyone this same question. And your response cannot be Cam from Ninja Storm. If you could put Ziggy from RPM and replace him in any Power Ranger season, you can put him in any person's spot. So that person no longer exists, it's Ziggy instead. Where are you putting Ziggy?
Oh my. So this is actually going to be hard because RPM is one of the ones I haven't watched.
Jared, you
I know.
Leave now. RPM's awesome. That wouldn't be difficult for me because like I said, I haven't watched that. There's a lot of them that I haven't seen. Because I got out of Power Rangers for a very long time, and then I started collecting the Lightning Collection, and then I met everybody on Zero to Hero and started watching stuff again. So I'm very behind when it comes to that. Okay, just to piss off Willie, and Willie, if you're watching this, place Rocky in any other series, and you have to replace him with another Ranger. You have to put Rocky somewhere. And I'm doing this because Willie hates Rocky. So Willie, there you go.
Oh, well, for me, I know the answer to this because I despise this other character so much that it's one of my least favorite seasons. And I'm going to say I wish that Rocky would have never got injured and became the Blue Turbo Ranger.
I as soon as you said I don't like, I was like, hang on a minute, is where are you going with this? And I thought I was going to say Justin, yeah. It's insane to think if you look at him now to that little scrawny kid, it's insane to think they're the same person. That is insane.
I know.
He buffed up proper. Okay, if name I don't know how into horror you are.
I'm very into horror.
I did think so. Name a horror movie or a thriller event of some kind that you think you could survive.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say Hellraiser. I'm gonna say Hellraiser because I wouldn't touch the box.
Oh, that's a good choice. That is a very, very good choice. I like that. If you were in the world of Attack on Titan, are you fighting on Titan?
Dude,
are you gonna take that leap?
Oh my god, yeah. That would be tough, man. That whole thing. I've thought about that in my head multiple times while watching Attack on Titan, and I don't know if I'd have the guts to do it. But I mean, if it came between me and my family and him, I'm definitely attacking.
Fair. I mean, you might get eaten, but fair.
Definitely, I'm gonna get eaten, but I'm giving my family a fighting chance.
That's a fair statement, bro. That's a fair statement. If you had to be a Pokemon gym leader, what type of Pokemon gym leader would you be?
Oh, I would be right there with Misty. I love water Pokemon. They're my favorite.
See, I love water Pokemon, but I just have one gripe.
Okay.
They hold at least 40% of the Pokedex. There are so many of them. Don't get me wrong, I love them. Some of my favorite Pokemon are water types. Blastoise just has a place in my heart. I absolutely love Totodile. I just want a pet Totodile. He's just so darn cute for a little crocodile thing. I don't understand, and like some of the evolutions make no sense. How you have Remoraid, a little fish that evolves into a manta ray, that makes no sense in my head.
Right. Yeah.
But like, I adore water Pokemon. But yeah, they literally hold at least 35 to 40% of the Pokedex. There are other types, Nintendo and Game Freak. There are other types. I'm just saying,
I'm always the one who picks the water Pokemon for my starter every single time I play a Pokemon game. So that's the reason why I went that way.
See, I grew up always picking fire types, and then as an adult, I respected grass and water. Yeah. But now that I've done my research and I'm playing the newer games and stuff, I've gone back to fire types because they always make the fire type starter the strongest against the first three gyms. Yeah. So it's just your fire is your natural pick, which I find a bit of a punch in the face. If you have two children and both of them are going to Hogwarts, but they have to be in separate houses, where are you putting your kids in which houses?
Oh, I've actually talked to them about this before.
Oh, have you? Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that my son would end up in probably Hufflepuff, and my daughter she's a lot like me, and I think that she would probably end up in Slytherin, if I'm being completely honest. So
fair dues. I think my son, just because of like how nice he is to literally every single living, breathing thing on this planet, I'd have to say he's a Gryffindor. Okay. Because like he's just like a ball of sunshine to everyone. I don't understand. Like I'm waiting for this kid to piss me off. I'm literally sat there twiddling my thumbs like, right, when are you going to scheme against me? I'm confused. I'm baffled on why this kid isn't misbehaving all the time. I must be doing something right in my life, apparently. So I definitely say that he'd have to be a Gryffindor. If a Dada podcast was able to make a type of toy for a child, what sort of toy would you want to be connected to your brand?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
No, I've been thinking about these for like a month. I'm not gonna lie. For the day I said to you, "Hey, dude, do you want to be a part of the podcast?" and I thought about this whole, "Hey, I could ask people like a bunch of fire questions, like I did with Mark," and I'm like, I thought of several, and the toy one was top of the list.
Oh my. Let's see here, and it's a toy. It can't be a game or something.
No, it like could a board be a game. Yeah, no, that works as long as it's aimed at kids. It's got to be suitable for children under the age of 12.
Under the age of 12.
Yep.
My kids like to say I am the king of useless knowledge, so I would say it would have to be a type of trivia board game that's geared towards children.
That's awesome. I love that. Can we make that a thing? That's so cool. If you give a dad a board game, oh my god. If you give a dad a board game. Okay, it'd have to be though useless knowledge, but every now and then just a really crappy dad joke.
There you go. I like it.
You know how like Monopoly, Monopoly has 2 sets of cards. Like, some of them are like, really random, useless, random facts, but the other one are just really cheesy. Like, for fuck's sake, Dad, why are you talking like dad jokes? Like, they just have to be. Like, it has to be that. That just works. And then my last question to you is, can you give us a really cheesy dad joke?
Oh, well, let's see here. Let me think for a minute. Yeah, I'm sure I can come up with one here.
And welcome to your fan fiction therapy. I quickly wanted to chime in here to let you know exactly what's been going on in the fan fiction world. See, Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637, the podcast, dropped another installment of the Shadowhunters fanfiction. Here's a snippet.
Once the young Shadowhunters get to the pier, there were 2 vampires following some mundane fishermen, 1 female and 1 male vampire. Xander had signaled for Mikhail and Angelique to circle around. Ruthie drew 2 Adamus scalpels from her wristband. Xander nods at her and she moves in like lightning, strategically cutting the ankle tendons of the female vampire. Ruthie quickly moves to the vampire's throat and holds one of her scalpels to it. I would not move if I were you, honey.
And on the Author's Crown YouTube channel, A Crown dropped a crossover between DC and Predator called The Hunter's Bane. Here's a snippet of that.
Isn't funny one? Then something comes out of the trees and impales them. As the rest of the men are sleeping, they are suddenly woken by the sound of screaming and gunfire. They all quickly grab their weapons and run towards the source of it. They soon arrived and are shocked by the sight of the now headless man. Arturo exclaims, "Oh my god." As he examines the body, Bane walks up and looks around. Bane then takes a look at the body and says,
"Whoever did this was very strong. Fan out, search the area."
The group does as he commands.
And then, of course, make sure you check out the Tiger Tales YouTube channels. And that is our installment of Fanfiction Therapy. Until next time.
You're gonna have to edit this down because you're putting me on the spot here.
That's all right. People can listen to the gears in your head turning.
Okay, all right. I have one, and it's Star Wars related, so it's still kind of geeky.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, go.
How did Darth Vader know he was getting? How did Darth Vader know what he was getting for Christmas?
How?
He could feel his presence.
Oh, for fuck's sake, dude! That's funny. I have a joke, but it's not a dad joke.
All right.
Okay, so there are 2 men at a bar, and this bar takes place on the 60th floor on a really big building. And these 2 men are absolutely getting hammered. They are so drunk it's unreal. And man 1 says man 2, "Did you know if you jump off that ledge, it'll carry you all the way down to the 1st floor, but you won't hit the ground, you won't go splat. You actually get carried up by the wind and you'll land on the roof." Man number 2 goes, "Nah, mate, you're lying. You're gonna have to prove that." So man number 1 goes, "All right, bet." Jumps out the window. He falls down. The wind carries him all the way back to the roof, and he finds his way back to the bar. Man's like, "See, I told you." So man number 2 doesn't believe this. He's like, "Hang on a minute. Like, I think this is absolute crap. I'm gonna watch you intently. I'm gonna record you doing it." So man number 1's like, "Yep, sure," and he does it exactly the same again. Jumps, and the wind carries him to the roof. So man number 2 goes, "Right, that's it. I'm doing it myself. I've got to try it." Jumps out the window, falls all the way down, and splatters all across the floor. He's dead. Man number 1 then goes back to the bar laughing, and the bartender says, "Superman, you're right ass when you're drunk. You know that?"
Oh, I like that.
It's a bit winded, but like once you get to the punchline, it kind of carries it. Like I've known that joke since I was like 11, and that's literally how I became the class comedian.
Oh my gosh,
I actually got in trouble. I think I was 15. I was in geography. I was bored as all hell, and I was telling jokes, and my teacher was like, "Oh, you're not that funny." I was like, "I bet I can make you laugh, sir." And he went, "Okay, if you make me laugh, I won't give you detention." I told that joke. I didn't get detention.
Oh wow.
Yep. All right then, dude. I'm gonna let you escape the Nexus, and you've been in the Nexus for a little while now. So before you leave, this is your time to shout out anything. This is your time to present yourself. You've got the stage. Go.
Well, all right. Well, if you guys want to follow me online, you can find me on pretty much any social media site. Just look up If You Give a Dad a Podcast, and you can find me there. If you want to go on Google and look, I'm probably the first 10 to 15 results on there as well. You can find my podcast anywhere that you find podcasts, and bring new episodes out every Monday. I'm going to be doing something new here pretty soon. I'm actually a guy that I've had on my show a couple times, Nick Helms. He is part of Original Geek, and I'm going to be doing a live episode with him at ArtCon in Neosho, Missouri on the 3rd of February. So if you guys want to tune into that, I will be putting stuff out on social media for you to be able to follow that as well.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And also make sure you check out Tiger Tales: The Lost Stories, where you'll find Jared as the voice actor for Darkseid in the story The Son of Darkseid, and you'll also find If You Give a Dad a Question Mark, which is our series where Jared actually presents me with his ideas of what he would do with specific items and stuff like this, and I write into a story, and he narrates it himself as well.
Yes.
All right, then, guys, that being said, of course, make sure that you follow us on Spotify, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and thank you, Jared, for being on. It's been a pleasure to have you, and I'm actually thinking of maybe having you return maybe at the end of the year, and we can talk about 2024 as a whole with, If You Give a Dad a Podcast, and we can talk about your guests and stuff. So be expecting a return of Sir Jared.
All right. Yeah, so, great. I can't wait.
Thank you guys for listening, and of course, I shall be back in 2 weeks, and I shall see you guys real soon.
See ya.